you talked about playing Cole in True Detective and that you were protected from his dark excesses, let's say, by your faith. Why did that provide you with, in what way did that provide you with protection? It's a striking thing to say, especially given his attitude is Mephistophelian. There's a character in Goethe's Faust, Mephistopheles, who's Satan himself, and his essential credo is that everything that lives should perish because of the sin of its existence, essentially. And so that's Cole in a nutshell, right? Yeah. And that's it's a logically tenable argument, but it's one that needs to be rejected holistically. I shouldn't use that word. I hate that word, but you don't reject that argument rationally because it's a rationally tenable argument. You have to reject it with your whole being instead and say, well, despite this, I'm going to live, and I'm going to try to live in an appropriate manner.
Yes.
But you said your faith protected you from Cole.
Well, it was one of the things that allowed me to fully go into Cole and fully believe Cole and get down and live it and look at the world through that lens.
Right.
I had already had a few year run of my life where I was quite agnostic. My agnosticism was not about trying to prove the disbelief of God's existence. My agnosticism was about me going, you sure have been letting yourself off the hook, McConaughey, Mr. Fatalist. Oh, I'll forgive you again because you're being a repeat offender and I'm kind of tired of it. Put your damn hands on the wheel, man. Talking to myself. You're driving here and quit going to this. I can pray and be forgiven, but you're repeat offending. Cut it out. I had gone through a few years earlier in my life of agnosticism where I was not so much trying to prove a non-existence of God as I was trying to have more self-reliance and self-determination on myself because I'd been letting myself off the hook.
And how was that related to the agnosticism, do you think? Because you put those together in the way that you're relating this story.
Well, I needed to feel like I was wholly responsible for myself and what happened to me. That I was not going to let myself slide.
There's an ideal calling to you then, eh? Like when you experience yourself as ashamed by your own behaviors, what that means is that there's an ideal inside you that's trying to manifest itself, right? Because you wouldn't be ashamed if you weren't comparing yourself to something better. And the question then becomes, well, what is that better thing that you're comparing yourself to? And it's an ideal. And then the question becomes, well, what is the ideal? And that's the sort of fleshing out what that ideal is that's the function of religious thinking. And so that's why I was interested in your comment about agnosticism.